The Iowa caucuses are just a week away. While the timing is clear, any notion of a front-runner is far from that. Well, CNBC's John Harwood is here with a look at the neck-and-neck GOP race for the White House. John, it's down to the wire.
It is down to the wire, Mandy. After a year in which debates have been driving this process, we're now at the phase that we're used to seeing a lot earlier. That is all retail campaigning. The guy to stop is Mitt Romney. He was in New Hampshire today, coming to Iowa tomorrow. Everyone else was on the ground. Newt Gingrich, Michelle Bachmann, Rick Santorum. I forget who else was in the race. That's a Rick Perry moment. Rick Perry was there, too. But they're all trying to carve out a piece of that Iowa caucus vote, slow down Mitt Romney, in particular Newt Gingrich, who has been on the defensive in negative ads, and now he's fighting back.
I will be candid with all of you. I was effective. I actually got the deal done. So it wasn't 112% pure. But it worked. And we got a liberal Democrat to sign welfare reform. We got a liberal Democrat to sign tax cuts. We got a liberal Democrat to sign 4 consecutive balanced budgets. Now, I think that's pretty effective conservatism.
Now, the reason that Newt Gingrich was fighting back, look at these poll numbers in Iowa. You see the leader is now Ron Paul. Now, he's not much of a threat to Mitt Romney because he doesn't really have a chance to win the nomination. Mitt Romney's in second place. That's a good place for him to be, but he's ahead of Newt Gingrich. Gingrich has got to try to leapfrog Romney to slow him down going into New Hampshire, where Mitt Romney's got a lead. Not quite 20 percentage points as earlier in the year, but still substantial. And if Mitt Romney can be unscathed in Iowa, he's going to be rolling toward this nomination, guys.
All right, John, stay there. Let's talk more about this, and maybe you'll come up with some more candidates on the GOP side as well. Kick it around now with a couple of strategists. Paul Equality is president of Equality & Associates. Chris Krueger is senior policy analyst with the Guggenheim Partners. Good to see you both. Thanks for joining us. Chris, if Ron Paul wins, who loses? I mean, who does he take votes away from the most, do you think?
Well, if Ron Paul wins Iowa, that's clearly to the win of Mitt Romney, and that effectively will take Newt Gingrich out of the race. Gingrich really, it's a make or break in Iowa for his candidacy. He needs to win Iowa. Romney does not. Romney needs to win, place, or show, and he will then win New Hampshire, and Romney will be the nominee. Romney does not, though, need to win Iowa. If he does win Iowa, he'll have the nomination a lot faster than he would otherwise, though.
Paul, I see here that just a week ago you thought that Ron Paul would win Iowa, but now you've essentially changed your mind. What has changed your mind, and who's your front runner now?
Well, this
no,
race is
I wouldn't say I've changed my mind. Ron Paul,
hey,
I believe,
we're
will
asking
win
Paul
Iowa.
here, Chris. We're asking Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
Thanks, Chris. This race is changing so quickly, and the fact is that Mitt Romney is like a duck with his feet paddling under the water. He and the super PAC, which is supposedly unaffiliated, have spent $3.5 million. He's leaving for the state today. He'll be there till Friday. He does want a knockout punch in Iowa, and don't let that campaign tell you that they don't. They've been brilliant in lowering expectations, but they want to take this state. If Ron Paul wins it, it's certainly better than Gingrich, whose vote now appears to be going to Romney as Gingrich fades.
John, if Ron Paul, if he wins Iowa, what does that mean for New Hampshire and South Carolina down the line?
I think it all depends on who's second and third. If Newt Gingrich can somehow get ahead of Mitt Romney in Iowa and Ron Paul wins, Gingrich still, I think, has some potential to sustain his campaign through New Hampshire and beyond. But if Mitt Romney is second or if he's first, as my colleagues were saying earlier, everybody else has got a big problem. Ron Paul is no threat to win the nomination. He has a well-defined constituency. He's got a good organization in Iowa, but he's not going to break out of that libertarian box in any substantial way. And he does take votes away from the other potential anti-Romney candidates, and that's why Romney doesn't really care if he wins Iowa.
Chris, at this point, Romney or Gingrich? I mean, who's got the better chance beyond Iowa? You know, they all are trying to mount the charge in both New Hampshire and South Carolina. I mean, Newt Gingrich has been all over South Carolina at this point. He feels he needs to win that to get the nomination. Do you agree?
Well, I think the candidate that's built to last year is clearly Mitt Romney. I mean, Newt Gingrich couldn't even get on the ballot in Virginia, which is in March. Yet clearly Gingrich needs to win Iowa or South Carolina to stay relevant in the race, though Gingrich is planning this nomination fight like it's a sprint, whereas it's clearly a marathon, and Romney is built to last in that race.
While all of this horse trading's going on and all the shuffling and reshuffling, John Howard, what's happening to the approval ratings for Obama?
President Obama had a very good end to the year. That's because he bested the Republicans in the showdown over the payroll tax cut, made the House Republicans look out of the mainstream and ineffective, and he was the one who came across as the reasonable fighter for middle-class Americans. So that was good for him politically. Economically, he got the benefit of that deal as well, because you're keeping money in the pockets of workers and also unemployed people by the extension of unemployment benefits. So he ended on a high note, and the question is, can he get a strong fourth quarter growth number? People think it'll be 3.5% or better. And how much of a self-sustaining recovery are we on right now? That's the big question mark.
Paul Equali, let me ask you your thoughts on the role that Ron Paul is going to play longer term in this race. Is he going to be the Ross Perot of this campaign? Will he be the spoiler for the GOP as we get closer to November?
No, I think that Donald Trump wants to be the Ross Perot, but I think he just may end up being a distraction. But Ron Paul, as John said, he is going to be a long-term irritant. He's not going to be a significant threat. And the reason he's an irritant is he has a lot of money. He has an ideological base that's going to keep giving him money. And we are at the point in this race, as John Harwood knows, that when you run out of money, that's when you give your farewell speech. The guy who you have to keep an eye on in terms of the chess game here is the governor of Texas, Mr. Perry, because his money is all being blown in Iowa. He may not have a dollar to compete down in South Carolina and stop Romney down there. So this is going to be very, very interesting once we get past.
Hey, guys, I will say that if Ron Paul and Bill, I don't know if this is what you were wondering, if he should decide to run third party or independent in the fall, he could be a big problem for the Republicans, because he does have that constituency. He's got better name ID than ever, and you can bet that he's going to get more small government votes that would otherwise go Republican than he will anti-war votes that would otherwise go Democrat.
I mean, he's been very coy about a third-party candidacy. Obviously, he doesn't want to show his hand yet. He's still in the race on the GOP side. But, Chris, do you think it's possible he runs as a third-party candidate at some point?
Absolutely, and if he does, I mean, that's always been President Obama's trump card in the general election. Gary Johnson, former Republican governor from New Mexico, is planning to run as a Libertarian candidate. And I actually think that, Ron Paul's endorsement of Mitt Romney is critical, if not an endorsement, certainly a non-aggression pact. Ron Paul has a very fervent and loyal group of supporters that are not going to vote for President Obama, but if they do not come out and vote for the Republican nominee, that's a big problem for the Republicans. I mean, if you look at 2004, the election was decided by 75,000 votes in Ohio, New Mexico, and Iowa. I suspect it's going to be as close an election. Every vote's going to count, and the Republicans need Ron Paul and his supporters on their side, or at least on the sidelines.
Got to go, gentlemen. Thank you, Paul. Chris, thanks for joining us. John, always good to see you. See you later. Happy New Year, everybody.